The following is a CNN special report.
The nation's bitter adversary.
They're coming after America.
Dangerous and deceptive.
It was a reasonably realistic email.
He meant to say that it was illegitimate. He said it was legitimate. The rest is history.
Their weapons insidious and unsuspected.
They're looking to weaponize information.
Threatening American votes and striking at the heart of democracy.
Do you think they see their interference in this election as a success?
I do.
A spy story in cyberspace.
We don't believe that domain is owned by ActBlue, so we investigated.
That would lead right to Putin's doorstep.
If Mr. Trump gets his way, it'll be like Christmas in the Kremlin.
And when words of warning were not nearly enough.
I saw President Putin to tell him to cut it out.
Tonight, a CNN special report, The Russian Connection, inside the attack on democracy. It was an unprecedented attack on the very heart of American democracy.
Russia is directly behind a series of cyber attacks targeting the upcoming presidential election.
That in one remarkable year catapulted Russia, the old Cold War adversary, once again to the center of American politics and the American psyche on an almost daily basis.
I think every American should be concerned about what the Russians did.
This is a centipede. A shoe will drop every few days.
Hampering a presidency.
I own nothing in Russia. I have no loans in Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia.
And undermining and even ending the careers of top presidential advisors.
The president was very concerned that General Flynn had misled the vice president and others.
The president's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn, fired for lying about conversations with Russia.
To state the obvious, you don't want your national security advisor compromised with the Russians.
His Attorney General, Jeff Sessions,
I have recused myself in the matters.
Forced to recuse himself from all Russia investigations.
Do you swear?
For not disclosing his own contacts with Russian officials.
Be the truth?
I don't think anybody knows it was Russia.
And Trump himself repeatedly questioning the intelligence community's high confidence judgment that Russia interfered with the election that brought him into the Oval Office.
Could also be China. Could also be lots of other people. It also could be somebody sitting on their bed that weighs 400 pounds, okay?
And dramatically, Mr. Trump firing his FBI director.
I was going to fire Comey. My decision.
Over a Russia investigation the president simply does not trust.
It's my judgment that I was fired because of the Russia investigation.
Now a special counsel, the FBI, and 4 separate congressional committees are pursuing investigations. How did we get here? And how did Russian influence potentially reach the highest levels of the U.S. government?
Can you say when you were first made aware that Russia or some country was attempting to infiltrate U.S. political organizations?
Sometime over the summer of 2015.
James Clapper was then the Director of National Intelligence, the nation's senior-most intelligence official.
At that first warning, was it clear to you how serious it would become?
No, I don't think it was, because obviously the Russians have us as a primary, maybe the primary intelligence target anyway.
The first quiet warning came September 2015, when a mid-level FBI agent notified the Democratic National Committee that Russian hackers had compromised at least one DNC computer.
They left a phone message at the help desk of the DNC. They didn't treat it with the kind of seriousness I think that it deserved.
That was the FBI's first direct contact with the DNC. A message left for a low-level computer technician who did not return the FBI's call.
The Bureau's, it's a busy place, they got lots of stuff to do, but I suspect if they had it to do over again, they probably would try to do it differently in retrospect.
The DNC technician, an outsourced employee, did scan the system networks, but found nothing. And the IT department apparently did not share the FBI's concerns with more senior DNC staff. The breach would prove to be enormous, hackers gaining access to countless emails, communications, and documents.
I can imagine them sitting down a couple weeks later and saying, well, that went pretty well, look, we're in.
And as the campaign for president was already well underway. For weeks, the FBI kept calling the same computer help desk number at the DNC, never reaching out to DNC leaders and never making the short trip in person to DNC headquarters.
Looking back, I think they would probably say, geez, we should have been a little bit more aggressive, but again, it's hard to predict where these things are going to end up, and this one ended up in a pretty interesting place.
The FBI tells CNN it made repeated attempts to alert more senior DNC staff, including sharing information on how to identify breaches in their systems. By November 2015, polls show Hillary Clinton leading the pack of Democratic contenders.
Join my campaign. Join this effort. Let's go win for America. Thank you.
It was now 1 year to Election Day, and the FBI agent called again with even more alarming news. A DNC computer was now transmitting information back to Russia. Still, DNC executives claimed they were not made aware of the threat, leaving the Russians to roam free inside the Democrats' computers for months, in the end giving them further and further ammunition to disrupt the U.S. election.
A hostile foreign power is trying to actively engage in our electoral process. You would have thought that that would have risen up to the attention of the other intelligence agencies of the White House itself.
It goes to the fundamental core of our democracy.
Tom Donilon, President Obama's national security advisor, came face to face more than once with the Russian leader behind the attacks.
It was alarming because it was absolutely consistent with Putin's intent to undermine the institutions of the West.
Russian President Vladimir Putin, a former KGB spy, famous for his boldness, even ruthlessness. At home, some of his opponents end up dead. Abroad, his prime target is the U.S.
There's no doubt in my mind that Vladimir Putin was involved from the very beginning, knew all the details of it, and indeed might have been the intellectual author of quite a bit of it, and was probably very eager to see, geez, are we really going to be able to pull this off?
Next, a nation brought to its knees by a massive Russian cyber attack.
People started asking what's going on. Who's in charge?